What's up, losers? Today I'm back with another r/fatlogic adventure, reading a couple of fascinating posts and sharing my responses to them. This is episode 96 in the fatlogic series, and I'm ready to go. So without further preamble, let's get into it.
Veterinary medicine. Every breed of dog is different, so we can't use a one-size-fits-all scale to measure their health. Human medicine. The BMI scale works for everybody, apart from people of color. But we'll just ignore that. Let's use it to deny proper medical care to anyone it deems unhealthy.
Yikes. Is this post really comparing different racial groups to different breeds of dog? Because it sure seems to be doing that. And yeah, I'm not sure how comfortable I am with that, to be completely honest. I really don't see how categorizing people of color as a different breed to white people is going to lead anywhere good. But I guess I'll give this post the benefit of the doubt and assume that it just didn't think this comparison through at all, because I'd prefer not to have to reflect on the alternative any further. As far as the post's discussion of BMI goes, I think it's really missing the point of BMI, and what makes it useful. I don't think anybody would argue that BMI is a perfect system that works equally well for everyone, or that it constitutes a comprehensive account of an individual's health in its own right. What we would say, however, is that it is helpful as a general metric that is easy to calculate and adequately identifies people who are diverging markedly from what can be considered a healthy weight. It may well be the case that some people around the margins of BMI groupings are not as endangered by their weight as their BMI designation might seem to suggest, especially if they are short, have a naturally large frame, or carry a lot of muscle mass. And in these cases, some discretion can be applied in interpreting the significance of their BMI number. But realistically, most obese people, and notably most fat activists, are not marginal cases. They are clearly well outside of a healthy weight range, BMI or no. And this focus on the limitations of BMI is little more than an irrelevant distraction that does nothing to address the actual health impacts of having so much excess body fat. Furthermore, the point of BMI is not to deny proper medical care to fat people. It is to ensure that fat people get the care that is safe and appropriate for them, and that they do not get subjected to procedures or medications that their bodies aren't equipped to handle. Posts like this seem to think that doctors are constantly sitting around, twirling their mustaches, and trying to come up with new ways to torment innocent fat people. But this is far from the truth. Doctors are, for the most part, doing their best to give fat patients the care that is right for them, just like they would for anyone else. So can we please stop with the doctor hate and take responsibility for our own life choices and the consequences of these choices? That would be great. Thanks.
Reminder: you cannot tell how much a person eats or moves by looking at them. Two people can have identical eating and exercise habits, and have very different body shapes. It's time to stop assuming fat people are inactive, lazy, or overeaters, and it's also time to stop assuming thin people are healthier, or more committed to their good health than fat people. The belief that people who eat healthfully and exercise regularly are not fat is rooted in fat phobia, not in reality. We can never know what someone's habits are by looking at them. Even if you could, it's not our place to make assumptions about other people's health and well-being. The diet industry sells us the myth that if we just eat well enough or exercise enough, we will have the thin bodies we desire. The problem with that myth is, it's not just harmful to people who are trying to lose weight. It's harmful to all of us. We are all impacted by fat phobia, and by unrealistic standards set by the diet industry. Hashtag intuitive eating, hashtag mindful eating, hashtag haze, hashtag diet culture dropout, hashtag fat phobia kills, hashtag anti-fat, hashtag anti-diet, Hashtag all bodies are good bodies.
Good lord, how many copes can you fit in a single post? Like, who do they think they're kidding with this stuff? Fat activists can deny the link between obesity and overeating and lack of exercise all they like, but the simple fact is that maintaining a calorie surplus leads to weight gain. And the way that someone arrives at a calorie surplus is by eating too much. Or eating foods that are too calorically dense. And not adequately compensating for this by burning calories off through exercise. When we see someone who is obese, it is not unfounded to assume that this is the result of their behavior. It is just common sense. This does not necessarily imply that the person in question is currently overeating or under-exercising. But it does demonstrate that they have done so at some recent point in their life. And I see no reason to pretend otherwise. The idea that anyone can lose weight with the right diet and lifestyle choices is not a myth being sold by the diet industry. It is the plain truth of the matter. And what's really harmful to fat people is not the mere acknowledgement of this obvious fact. It is messaging like this that seeks to dissuade fat people from even attempting weight loss. Because being obese is a severe impediment to a healthy and happy life. And it is not something that anyone should just resign themselves to, out of a misguided perception of the impossibility of change. The only point I will make a minor concession on is that the post is correct in saying that we shouldn't assume someone is healthy just because they're thin. Thin people can, and often do, also have an unhealthy diet. And some thin people are actually underweight, which brings its own set of problems. So I do agree that it's overly simplistic and misleading to equate thinness with health across the board. With that being said, thin people are, by definition, not obese, so regardless of whether they are healthy in a holistic sense, they are at the very least not subjecting themselves to that particular set of risk factors. What this means on a macro scale is that while not all thin people are healthy, all healthy people are, at least relatively, thin. So ultimately, even this point is far from the defense of fatness that it is likely supposed to be. And if anything, it should only inspire all of us to hold ourselves to a higher standard. Fat people included.
If movement and food are intertwined in your brain, you have a disordered relationship with it.
You have a disordered relationship with what? With your own brain, or with food, or movement? I don't know. This post is really confusingly worded, haha. I genuinely don't know what it's trying to say. Assuming that it means relating food to movement is disordered. Yeah, not really though. What's disordered about it? Food provides energy, and movement requires energy. It seems pretty intertwined to me. I mean, what's the whole point of eating in the first place? It's so that we can live and, do stuff, right? Which usually involves some kind of movement. There's nothing disordered about that. Then again, I suppose if you're a hardcore fat activist, the very concept of movement is rather alien to you. Like, you understand it in the abstract, but you have very little real-world experience of it. So I guess it makes sense that relating your favorite thing, eating, to this scary, foreign idea of movement would seem disordered. Makes perfect sense really. Nothing more to add. Haha, but anyway, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed the posts, and that you got something out of my commentary. What do you think? Should the BMI scale be adjusted to account for different breeds of human? Can you tell anything about someone's diet or exercise habits by looking at them? Is intertwining food and movement in your brain disordered? Let me know in the comments. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, or I'll make you go see a vet rather than a doctor. And they'll put you on a diet of nothing but dog biscuits. Just kidding, haha. Anyway, catch you later.